Good morning, everybody. Aloha kako and everyone, kung hi fachoy. It is now 9:01 a.m. and I would like to call to order the February 11, 2026 Land Use Commission meeting. This is a hybrid meeting being held in person at the Leo Papa a Kamehameha State Office Tower at 235 South Beretania Street in room 405, Honolulu, Hawaii, 96813, and with virtual participation via Zoom. This meeting is open to the public. Please be advised that this meeting is being recorded via Zoom, and the recording will be posted to YouTube and used for court reporting purposes. Your continued participation is your implied consent to be part of the public record of this event. If you do not wish to be part of the public record, you should exit this meeting now. For those attending via Zoom, please note that the question and answer feature will only be used for signing up for public testimony. All other communications through Zoom will not be monitored or made part of the meeting record. Written communications can be emailed to the Land Use Commission office at dbedt.luc.web@hawaii.gov. For all meeting participants, including commissioners, please speak slowly, clearly, and directly into your microphone. Before speaking, please also state your name and identify yourself for the record. It will make it a lot easier for the transcription. I would like to also share with all participants that we will be taking breaks from time to time, about every hour. For commissioners participating remotely, please state your location and whether anyone over the age of 18 is present with you. My name is Brian Lee, and I am serving as the LUC's chair today. There are 9 seated commissioners at this time, and joining us today is Commissioner Ken Haishida from Oahu, Commissioner Mel Kahele from Oahu, Commissioner Kuike Kamakea Ohelo from Oahu, Michael Yamane from Kauai, Dan Giovanni from Kauai via Zoom, and Commissioner Kamakea Ohelo, can you confirm that you're by yourself?
Aloha, Chair. Aloha, Commissioners. I'm joining you from 560 North Nimitz Highway, and I am alone in my office.
Thank you, Commissioner. And Commissioner Giovanni, could you also confirm that you're by yourself?
Aloha and good morning. Yes, I'm at my home office in my residence at 4428 Kaikana Street in Kalaheo, Kauai, and I am alone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And also here in person is Commissioner Bruce U'u from Maui and Commissioner Miles Miyasato via Zoom from the Big Island. Commissioner Miyasato, you're by yourself?
Yes, I am at my residence in Lapahoihoi, and I am by myself.
Thank you very much. And also via Zoom is Commissioner Nancy Carr-Smith. And do you also confirm that you're by yourself?
Yes, I am, Chair. Good morning, everyone. I'm at my home in Waimea. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Carr-Smith. Also in attendance in person is the LUC Executive Officer, Mr. Daniel Orodenker, the LUC Chief Planner, Mr. Scott Derrickson, the LUC Chief Clerk, Ms. Ariana Kwan, and the LUC Attorney General, Mr. John Dubiel. Again, court reporting transcriptions are being done from this Zoom recording. So we're going to proceed with agenda item number 2, the adoption of the minutes. The first item of business is the approval of the January 7th, 2026 meeting minutes. Ms. Kwan, has there been any written testimony received on those minutes?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public wishing to testify on this item?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioners, are there any corrections or comments on the minutes? Seeing none, is there a motion now to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve, Commissioner U'u.
Commissioner U'u has moved to adopt the minutes. Is there a second?
Mel Kahele, second.
Commissioner Kahele seconds. Since this is the first vote for today, Mr. Orodenker, will you please conduct a roll call vote?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The motion is to adopt the minutes. Okay, Commissioner Uu. Commissioner Uu,
Sorry, aye.
Commissioner Kahele,
Aye.
Commissioner Carr Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Miyasato,
Aye.
Commissioner Hayashida,
Aye.
Commissioner Kamakeo Hello,
Aye.
Commissioner Giovanni,
Aye.
Commissioner Yamane,
Aye.
Chair Lee.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Ordenker. The minutes are now approved. Okay, agenda item number 3 is the tentative meeting schedule for the Land Use Commission.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr. Chair. So, for clarification, the hearing tomorrow on Honolulu Hideaway has been postponed. Our next meeting will be on March 11th, where we will be receiving a presentation from the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development on sustainability mandates. On March 12th, assuming that there's a filing made on 12/17, we will be hearing SB92-380, which is the Punene Quarry motion to amend. On March 25th, we will be in Kona tentatively, we will be in Kona for the Honolulu Hideaway remand that has yet to be confirmed with the petitioner. On April 8th, we will be on Oahu at the airport for the Haseko motion to amend. That's A92-683. And that's currently all we have scheduled on the calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Ordenker. Commissioners, do you have any questions about the schedule? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move to the next agenda item. Item number 4 is a discussion on the Commission's positions on 2026 Hawaii State legislative bills relating to the Land Use Commission. Before we get into this, since this is the first time in a long while that the Land Use Commission has done legislative bill review, even though other similar boards do this, I think it's going to be a good idea for us to check with our Deputy Attorney General on what our authority, powers, duties, privilege, immunities, and liabilities are. So is there a motion to enter into executive session?
Bruce Uu, I'll make the motion.
Okay, the motion's been moved by Commissioner Uu. Is there a second?
Okay, second.
Commissioner Kahele seconds. Let's see, is there any discussion on the motion? We need a 2/3 vote to approve this. Is there any no vote? Okay, I think we can do this by acclamation, right? Since we've already conducted a roll call vote, Mr. Deputy Attorney General. Or do you advise that we take a roll call vote?
You don't have to take a roll call vote.
What, I'm sorry?
You don't have to take a roll call vote.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no objections, we will now enter into executive session. Okay, thank you, everybody. We just came back from executive session where we discussed what authorities and powers that the commission has regarding testimony. And we're now back in open session, and we're going to take up agenda item number 4, which is a discussion on the commission's positions on the 2026 Hawaii State legislative bills relating to the Land Use Commission. Okay, this is going to be about the commission's positions on 2026 Hawaii State legislative bills relating to us, and it's intended to allow the commission to discuss the listed measures, ask questions, and provide policy direction to the executive officer, including whether the commission wishes to take a formal position or not at this time. For those attending Zoom and wish to provide oral testimony on agenda items 4, 5, or 6, please indicate your request using the Q&A feature so that the chief clerk may place you in the queue. Please also identify which agenda item that you wish to testify on. Okay, before we begin, I'd like to briefly explain our procedure for today. First, we'll provide a brief summary of the bill. Second, we'll acknowledge any written testimony that has been received. Then we'll call for members of the public who wish to provide oral testimony. Once testimony concludes, we'll then open the floor for commissioner questions, comments, and discussion. We'll then reopen the floor to the public for any new and additional oral testimony on this matter. And finally, the commission may or may not make a motion to support or not support a bill. And if no motion passes, we will move on to the next bill. I will again remind all commissioners and staff to speak slowly, clearly, and directly into the microphone and to identify yourselves by name for the record, which will help our transcribers accurately capture the proceedings. Now, I want to say that if we vote to support a bill, and we've discussed various options on how that could be done, so please include that in your motion, right? Yes, our legal counsel concurs. Item number 4A covers SB28, SB2237, and HB1845 relating to the Land Use Commission. These measures specify that a simple majority of affirmative votes of the members of the LUC present at a meeting and qualified to vote is required for any boundary amendment. So right now, 6 votes are required. So this measure asks that it be 5, like other decisions. However, I want you guys to know that there was some concern that it wasn't clear that if only 5 people show up and there's quorum, then 3 of those could approve a DBA. So I think we can address that if we so desire and require a minimum of 5. But I'll take testimony on this first, right? So, is there, Ms. Kwan, is there any written testimony submitted on this matter?
No, Mr. Chair.
Are there any members of the public that wish to provide oral testimony on this matter?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature, Chair.
Okay, I'm going to ask the executive officer to make some comments, and then we'll open up the floor for commissioners to discuss and any questions for this bill, as briefly as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I won't go over the details of the bill. However, this is a bill that's been submitted several times over the past few years and has not passed. Our concern is twofold. One is that under Article 11, Section 3, a majority of the commission, which would be 6 members, is required for a district boundary amendment on IAL lands. The difficulty we have right now is that there has not been a designation of IAL lands throughout the state. As a result, I'm not sure if, first of all, if this measure would be constitutional under the circumstances, and second of all, whether or not how we would handle it if it did pass. Because we have to make the assumption, for instance, on Oahu, Maui, and the Big Island, that a lot of the lands that are implicated in a petition would be, in fact, important agricultural lands if there had been a designation. So there's a functional problem.
Thank you, Mr. Odenker. I want to note that the legislators did offer an option to exclude IAL lands from this measure, and that's something we could also consider. Okay, so we're open for discussion. Members, any discussion? Any discussion? Oh, Commissioner Miyasato. Go ahead, Commissioner Miyasato.
Oh, thank you. So, isn't it county by county to task of designation on IAL?
Yes, that is correct. However, the only county that has completed their designation is Kauai.
Okay, so technically, well, I'm not going to say legally, but technically, if something was to come before us right now on any petition, none of the neighbor islands, excluding Kauai, would be considered IAL, as we consider the petition right now.
I'm not sure I know how to answer that. I can tell you that when I was attending the Supreme Court arguments on both Ho'opili and Koa Ridge, the sentiment of the Supreme Court was that regardless of whether or not there'd been an official designation, some lands were by their very nature IAL. So I don't know how the courts would come down on that. I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah, well, I recall Ho'opili very well also. That's why my question was not legally, but procedurally. But okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Wu?
Just a comment. I support this bill. I mean, you would have to approve them with 6 or 5. It's still a process you would have to do regardless to a degree. So I support the measure.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Derrickson?
So just so you're aware, there's 3 bills identified here. 2 of them have not been heard yet. One of them has been heard, and it has been moved forward with proposed amendments. Those amendments have not been posted yet. So 2 of the bills, if you read the language, it could result in only 3 members of the commission being in attendance at a meeting and requiring only 2 of those voting to approve a district boundary amendment.
Right. Well, 5 is a quorum, so you would need 3,
No.
right?
That's not how those bills would read.
No, your point is taken.
Okay. In the one bill that is moving forward, they have proposed the amendments. We haven't seen it in writing yet, but they proposed setting the required quorum at 5.
Okay. Okay, the quorum or the voting for approval?
Quorum.
Okay, got it. Great points. I think that's why it is beneficial for us to express our opinion, because obviously the legislators that came up with this did not know about IAL or the 5 or 2 minimum that could approve a DBA. And so I think that's the value that we could provide. And so if anyone does want to make a motion to support this, it would probably be a good idea to include IAL and excluding IAL and the 5 minimum in your motion. And I do want to add that, I'm not going to state my position at this time, but, sometimes, fortunately not now, but if we needed 5 out of, and 6 people only attended, 5 would be like 85% of the vote to get that DBA approved. So I think that's where there was a thought that could be a problem. So anyway, if there's no discussion, I'm going to ask if anyone wants to make a motion one way or the other. Okay, anybody? Okay, if I don't hear anything, then Commissioner Wu?
I'll make the motion, and the motion would be, I don't know how to word it, excluding the IAL and also what was mentioned earlier about that, the 5-member commission body. So I think that's a little too extreme to a degree. So if you could add that, I would support that.
To have the 5 minimum?
Yeah.
Okay, to approve a district boundary amendment?
DBA, correct.
Correct, okay. All right, is there a second?
I don't understand the motion. Could you?
I believe that Commissioner Wu is saying that he would support a bill or a policy that is addressed in these bills, but to recommend excluding IAL from the 5-vote minimum, and that 5 votes at a minimum, that language needs to be in the bill in his motion. Is that correct, Commissioner Wu?
Commissioner Wu said it better than I could. Yes.
I doubt that, but yes, thank you. Commissioner Giovanni, does that answer your question?
Almost. So if it's an IAL land, what is our position in terms of the quorum and the majority. And what is it for non-IAL land? What's the motion say?
So for IAL land, the policy would be for us to not support that if that was included.
Okay. And for non-IAL land, is it to change the current from 6 to 5?
Yes, to have a minimum of 5 votes for non-IAL district boundary amendments.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dubio.
Sorry, I just want to clarify. Are you saying you want to delegate to the chair the ability to work with the executive officer at the policy direction of the board to testify with comments regarding a 5-member bare minimum needed for DBAs?
Excluding that.
And excluding IALs. That's what you said. I just want to make sure you're saying we're delegating to the chair this power, because I think that's what you want to do.
Commissioner Uu, only if it passes.
I guess I'll take that as a yes. So is there a second?
Yes.
Is there a second to Commissioner Uu's motion?
Commissioner Carr Smith, I'll second that.
Okay, now we'll have this more discussion on this matter. Is there any discussion, pro and con comments? Some of us have already talked enough, so anyone else that feels they want to chime in? All right, Commissioner Kamakea, hello. We may want to value your opinion on this.
I support the discussion and actually the motion. So I don't have much to add. I mean, I'm inclined to make sure that the IAL is removed from that bill, and then that we maintain the integrity of a supermajority vote over the IAL. But outside of that, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate your input. It's very valuable to us.
Mahalo.
All right. Any other discussion? If not, Mr. Ordenker, will you conduct a roll call vote?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The motion was to authorize the chair to work with the legislature to support
The executive officer.
and the executive officer SB28, SB2217, and HB1845 to amend to take out language with regard to or make sure that IAL land is excluded from the minimum votes and to support a minimum of 5 votes for non-IAL land. Commissioner Uu.
Aye.
Commissioner Carr Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Miyasato.
Aye.
Commissioner Hayashida.
Aye.
Is he still here? Yeah, okay. Commissioner Kahele. Commissioner Kamakeo Hello.
Aye.
Commissioner Giovanni.
No.
Commissioner Yamane.
I don't know what my vote is, but I want to just recuse myself because, again, as I stated, I think this is out of the purview of this commission to have this policy. Whatever the legislature decides it wants it to be, that's the way we should abide by it. So whatever that vote is, recused, I don't know what the right word is.
Recused.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Chair Lee.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The vote passes with 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 affirmative votes and 1 abstain and 1 no.
1 in opposition. Yep. Okay, thank you. All right, the next agenda item is item 4B, SB36, SB2185, SB2218, and HB1844. This bill requires the Land Use Commission to reclassify lands that are designated for urban growth under a county general plan or county development plan as being in the urban district at the request of the county. So I think this is an automatic thing where if the county has already done their development plans, their general plans, and has already done the work to designate it as a urban designated for urban growth, then the LUC would be almost required to then also agree, and almost ministerially, if I read this correctly, to also designate it as urban at the request of the county. So, Mr. Ordenker, will you please add any more that you wish?
Yeah, staff has a lot of technical concerns on this. As pointed out by the chair, the word shall provides us with no discretion. There's no need to come to the Land Use Commission if the word shall remains, because we have no option. But from a technical standpoint, this violates constitutional due process. And we have serious concerns about whether the Supreme Court would validate it under the terms of the town case.
That's the right to a contested case hearing.
That's correct. The requirement for a contested case hearing. We also would point out that general plans and development plans do not provide notice or due process when they're being put together. I think that my difficulty, or our difficulty with this bill, is that if it were to pass, it would result in immediate lawsuits, which would then slow down the development process.
Thank you, Mr. Ordenker. All right, I'm going to now recognize any public written testimony submitted on this matter. Ms. Kwan, has there been any written testimony?
No, Mr. Chair.
Are there any members of the public that wish to provide verbal testimony on this matter?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature.
Okay, I'll open the floor for commissioner discussion and questions on this bill. And then we'll have another opportunity if anyone makes a motion and seconds it, but Mr. Derrickson.
Thank you, Chair. Just to help you understand what's occurred so far, SB 36, SB 2185, SB 2218 have not been scheduled for hearing yet. House Bill 1844 has had a hearing, and it was passed with amendments. The specific amendments, again, have not been, they have not posted a committee hearing report yet, and they have not posted an HD1 draft. However, they did indicate that the amendments would exclude IAL from consideration. They would identify that the county would become the applicant to a district boundary amendment to the Land Use Commission. There would be no expedited process, and that the LUC shall use all the data if there's an EIS done prior, and anything that was collected at the county level in support of the petition.
I would make one other comment. Given the amendments that have been proposed by the House, there's actually really no need for this bill. The county can do this already.
Right, so it's basically been kind of defanged in a way.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll now open a second. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed you, Vice Chair Carr Smith.
That's okay. Thank you. Yeah, I listened to that hearing and I heard some concern about having the IALs excluded on this one as well. And I think the AG's office was concerned about proper notice and due process. I couldn't help but wonder, doesn't that end up being the county's due process? I don't, maybe that's an AG question.
Well, it's an interesting question, but I think the majority of us here have had county planning commission experience. So I think we're familiar with the process. It's not a quick process. There's a lot of community meetings. I'm going to try to be as neutral as I can in my words. This has happened. This bill has been proposed for many years. Hawaii is the only state that has a state land use zoning type board that some find duplicative, some find good. I think the history is that the Land Use Commission was enacted in the early 60s because of all the unchecked growth, such as subdivisions on volcano land and, that type of thing. And so there needed to be some oversight. Some people feel that the counties have developed a better process after 40 years. And it was not always 15 acres, for example, for DBAs. At one time it was 0 acres, that the counties could decide for themselves. But in the mid 80s, it was raised to 15, and maybe this is a later discussion, but it's sort of an arbitrary number in some people's minds. But I don't know if that answers your question, Vice Chair.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I support the concept of this. I think the counties, they have done their own planning, and that should carry weight over the state's plan, in my opinion. And the bill also speaks to expediting development of affordable housing. I know certainly for my county that I support those concepts, so.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair and Commissioner Wu.
I support what Nancy said. I think when you hear the county frustrated over some of the processes in place, I think most of them, even the senators, the senators proposing this now. This is being proposed. It's not we proposing this. So I'm assuming they're talking to their counties also to a degree, hence what we have in front of. So I will support it but with some amendments, if somebody's creative enough to create the amendments. And again, I've been hearing for a while that the county wants some of the powers back to a degree for their lands. And, the process is long enough existing, and there's still a process. That's the part where regardless where this goes, everyone knows the process is cumbersome and long. And I just looking for balance myself, really. And my balance is protecting our environment along with creating homes. And we add on deficit of balance currently. So I think this would bring balance towards that.
Thank you, Commissioner Wu. Commissioner Giovanni.
Thank you, Chair. My question goes back to what Mr. Orndenker was talking about in terms of the Supreme Court having issues regarding due process. If I understand that correctly, or I'd like a little more explanation, perhaps from Mr. Orndenker or anyone. What is the issue? Is it the issue that the landowner may not agree may not agree with the county versus the state and wants to have his day in court before his land is the classification of his land is changed? Is it something like that? I need to understand.
Yeah, that's the crux of it. The town case centered around the fact that not only just the landowner, but adjacent landowners are entitled to due process because reclassifying their lands has an impact on its value. And when you impact value of property under both the United States and the state constitution, you're entitled to due process so that there isn't a taking. There are situations where landowners do not want their land urbanized. There are mainly because of, or not mainly, but in a lot of cases because of the tax implications. And that can be a problem for some legacy lands that are held by, families that have held them for generations, but don't have any intention of developing them. I think that the underlying problem is that right to due process for the change in classification, which can impact value.
Understood. So if a landowner does not agree with the general plan of the county, he wants an opportunity to challenge that officially.
Well, under the current system, the general plan is aspirational.
Right. But this bill makes it
This
hard
bill
to
would
test.
would make it more than aspirational. And under those circumstances, they would be entitled to due process and have their day in some kind of court.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm just gonna make one comment. All general plans, as we know, are aspirational, county or state level. And if someone does want to make a motion on this, they need to address that concern, of perhaps maybe requiring the counties to conduct their own contested case hearing. Many of us have served on the planning commissions for our counties, and we have experience with contested case hearings there too. And also, hey, this is a controversial thing. Maybe put a sunset date on it to try it out. I'm just bringing up options that have been discussed by others before. And so if there's no final comment, I'm going to close. Oh, Commissioner Kahele.
No, you mentioned about, I believe, House Bill 1844.
Closer to the microphone.
You mentioned about House Bill 1844. What's the
Commissioner
status on that?
Kahele is addressing Mr. Derrickson.
Yes, this is Scott Derrickson, Land Use Commission staff. Yes, House Bill 1844 has been heard and was passed with amendments. And I indicated what those were. You want to hear them again?
No, I'm good with it. Didn't the Attorney General's office submit testimony recommending changes that something about constitutionality and
I'm not sure of that because there were a number of other bills that were heard at the same time, and the AGs did comment on certain ones and not on others. So I'm not 100% sure whether they provided testimony on this specific bill.
okay, because I don't think the AG's office are in support of this bill because of some issues, legal issues. Anyway, just wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kahele. Any final quick comments?
Oh, to answer Commissioner Kelly's question, I'm looking at the testimony that was submitted by the Office of the Attorney General on this matter yesterday, and they brought up the same concerns that we did.
Okay, thank you. Any final comments before we go into a possible motion?
Quick comment, I just wanted to aid at the finish. It says at the request of the county. So that will be at their request. And, I don't know if we give them enough credit or not, but I think they're capable of doing the right thing for their own island. Yeah, just FYI.
Yeah,
My
and
2 cents.
thank you, Commissioner Wu. And yeah, and I think they also, Commissioner Giovanni, one of the major concerns that folks have that support this bill is the duplicative process that, it adds a few more years. That, the EIS will not be de novo, so that will save time, but still, it's the duplicative process that some folks are worried about. All right. I don't see any final comments except for Mr. Derrickson just raising his hand.
No, Giovanni.
Okay, we'll go with Mr. Derrickson and then Commissioner Giovanni.
So thank you, Chair. So I think it's important for commissioners, if you want to dig into the bills, that you should read the usually the opening section kind of gives the reasoning why they're doing this. They're proposing a change. And so if you read these bills, these 4 bills, they're talking about the long time it takes to and the added costs for affordable housing development. And I've heard all of you express concerns about that. And those are issues that you care about. This purpose of this act, it says, is to expedite the development of affordable housing. And I guess from my standpoint, and I've worked here for almost 40 years now. So I have a little bit of a track record, and I do have some experience. Okay. The Land Use Commission, you guys are required by law to make decisions within 365 days. And I've done the analysis and looked back at the Land Use Commission's decision-making process for district boundary amendments. over the last 30 years. There's only been one instance where it took 365 days. The general trend is 6 months or sooner. And for affordable housing projects that are under the 201H law, it's 45 days. So when there's a discussion about long delays for affordable housing development, I can tell you that it's not at the Land Use Commission level. Okay.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. We need to speed things up, but I need to address that. That's always been brought up, and I think it needs to be clear that it's not just a time delay, it's also any additional conditions that are put on by the state that the county did not want to put on. So I think to say that everything's been approved, and it's been done in 6 months, I don't think that covers everything. I think it's the state being allowed to put additional conditions that's the concern. And so I don't want to belabor this. So if you guys are okay, we want to move on, all right? And let's shout if I'm wrong. Commissioner Giovanni also has a final comment.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to your comment, Chair, about if this is passed, it would be a more expedient process, and that may be the case for certain applications. But certainly, if there's ever a challenge based on by a landowner based on due process, they would have standing all the way to the Supreme Court, and that's a 3 to 5 year process. So don't assume upfront that in all cases this bill would expedite and shorten the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair Emeritus. Yeah, that's why I mentioned that, there could be language to address that requiring the counties to conduct the contested case hearing, but your point is taken. So I'm going to move now we'll have further time for discussion if a motion is made, but right now I'm going to ask if there's a second round of public testimony for any new or additional comments only. So Chief Clerk, are there any requests to testify?
Nobody has used the Q&A feature to sign up for testimony, Chair.
Thank you very much. All right, is there a motion now, one way or the other, to this topic on item 4B? Does anyone have a motion? Last call. Commissioner Wu.
I'll make the motion, and hopefully I can get help in making the motion, and then we can move to a discussion, correct?
Yes, if there's a second.
I'll make the motion to approve, and hoping I can have some conditions help made up in this, and part of I make a motion to approve.
With the same things that our Mr. Dubiel had indicated, which you will repeat for us, please.
You need to give explicit like what you're looking for. Are you delegating to the chair to work with the executive officer to approve what?
Correct. I'm delegating to the chair that he worked with the director to pass the bill, but I'm looking to help to create some amendments to this bill that we all can swallow it to one point.
Would you?
I think it was brought up earlier.
Would you include excluding important agricultural lands, as well as requiring a contested case hearing? Would you include that in your motion?
I'll include the IOL. Yes, I can include both.
And then any sunset date or?
None for me. None
Okay,
for me.
got it. All right, you've heard the motion, which we will probably repeat at some point. Is there a second?
Yes, please do.
Is there a second to Commissioner U's motion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, Commissioner Carr has seconded the motion, and so now we will have discussion with the commissioners. Commissioner Wu.
I'd like to start the discussion that I did take the time and read the bills, and it took many glasses of wine, by the way. And I did bounce it off people, what the thought process and how they react, what the thought process was, and maybe you're right, because you have 40 years. Yeah, could be. But what I'm hearing is no one even wants to come to the commission, regardless of what you tell me. So you limited the ability for more homes. They don't even want to show up to the Land Use Commission. On Maui, everyone is looking for 15 acres and below to build the house builders. That's what they're looking at. Because the process has to be realistic. And that's the part sometimes, right? And we said it earlier, no offense to anything. That's your staff take. And that's respected. But we on the pulse on Maui. And this is what I've been hearing continuously, regardless what the staff says. That's what I hear on IDIT. If above 15 acres, they don't want to come here because of the process. So that must be limiting people or house builders moving forward to develop anything over 15 years. So that's my mana'o. That's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wu. Commissioner and Vice Chair Carr Smith, do you have any comments?
Yeah, again, I just support the counties to know their own lands. The state often likes to make decisions for the counties, and I don't think it's appropriate. The counties know what their lands are. If they've already designated them to urban, I think that they should be able to get that land use designation from the state. I understand the due process question, and I don't know what the answer to that is. So, but I also support the IALs being excluded. So that's really all I have.
Thank you, Vice Chair Carr Smith. Any other comments, questions, Commissioner Kahele?
Yeah, I got an issue. What about the issues and the concerns that the Attorney General has raised about this bill not allowing the public to kind of get involved with whatever decision that
Yeah,
they're going to be making? Are we going to also include the Attorney General's recommendation in adding into the bill?
good question, Commissioner Kahele. One part of that was addressed in the motion to require a contested case hearing at the county level. And I think you're right that if there's questions about how the county vetting process works, we can add to that. But many of us here have served on the County Planning Commission. So it's a 2, 3, 4 year process.
Yeah, but I think this bill doesn't allow a public hearing process and a notice.
No, I don't believe that's what it's saying.
Yeah,
so.
well, that's what they wrote in their testimony, right? I'm just kind of like reading up their testimony, that they recommend that the bill be amended to require a public hearing process.
Commissioner Wu, would you be okay with that amendment? So we'd have to vote on the amendment and then go back to the full motion.
Sure, I'll be okay with that.
Commissioner Carr Smith, would you be okay with that amendment?
Please repeat what the amendment is.
To require public hearings. Is that correct, Commissioner Kahele?
Yeah, recommend that the bill be amended to require a public hearing process and notice to affected property owners.
So are you
Either-
saying that could be done at the county level?
Well, just asking to include and amend the bill that we're kind of like approving to include this requirement, where they're going to notify the general public and allow them a hearing process and at least be able to participate in the public hearing. That's what the Attorney General is recommending in their testimony. There were other items in their testimony that they were kind of concerned about. So I think what we need to do, Brian or Chair, is to look at what the Attorney General's concerns are in their testimony and making sure that we address those issues when you and Dan goes out there and submit testimony or attend the hearings in support of House Bill 1844.
Okay. Go ahead, Dan.
I think that Commissioner Kahele's concerns are well founded. One of the difficulties that I have, or that staff has, with what is currently moving its way through the legislature is that the general plan process and the development plan process is a completely different animal from contested case hearings. And if you insert a contested case hearing requirement into the general plan and development plan process, you'll never get a general plan and development plan, because you'll have to notify each landowner within the proposed development plan or general plan amendment that they have the right to a contested case hearing. And if even if only a small portion of those people take advantage of that, you're looking at years and years of contested case hearings before you can promulgate a general plan. I don't believe that from a functional standpoint that this measure can work. I mean, I understand the intent and I understand the situation. I would suggest though that this measure, this proposed legislation is ill-conceived because of those functional problems.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Miyasato.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, thank you, fellow commissioners. I appreciate all the discussion, but I'm gonna be abstaining my vote to the crossover. I want to see what amendments or what develops. I'm looking at this from a rancher's perspective, yeah. As executive officer had indicated, if my neighbors plan to develop, they're gonna take me right out of my tax zone on my ag land. So as coming from a rancher's viewpoint and my fellow ranchers, kind of cautious on this, where sometimes the vocal minority that show up at these meetings get their way. And sometimes us as the silent majority that have skin in the game get blindsided, yeah. So kind of just want to see how this bill moves along, what amendments come up. So again, I'll be abstaining. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Miyasato. Commissioner Giovanni.
I'm going to abstain also for some of the reasons that Commissioner Miyasato said, but I also want to note for the record that by definition, general plans are aspirational themselves. So to have a rule, a law, a bill, a statute that would automatically convert the classification of lands based on an aspirational general plan doesn't make sense to me. And I'm very concerned about the due process issues and the small landowners that are influenced by decisions of a general plan for which they've probably not participated in that development. So that's my position.
Thank you, Commissioner Giovanni. Any final quick comments? If not, we're voting on the amendment to add the public hearing requirement. So if you vote yes, you're going to support adding the amendment. If you vote no, then the original amendment will stand without it. All right, are we clear? Okay, so Mr. Ordenker, will you please conduct the roll call vote and summarize as best you can what the 3 conditions were that we wanted to add?
Chair, did we
Yes.
vote on the first round? We're
Well,
voting
we
on
have to vote on the amendment
before.
first. Yeah, we have to vote on the amendment unless you withdraw your amendment and then we start all over. But I think it's a little messy, so it's messy anyway. But let's the correct procedure is to vote on the amendment to add the public hearing requirement to the 5-year sunset and to the requirement that the counties conduct a contested case hearing and no IAL, and I think that's it. And to delegate the chair to work with the executive officer. But again, we're voting on just the amendment to add the public hearing requirement. Okay.
So
if
Chair,
not, we revert to the original.
Chair, I think Commissioner Carr-Smith has to agree to the amendment. I don't think she's done
Right.
that.
Right. We had asked her if she was okay with that amendment. And so, yes, you need to say yes or no before we can proceed to a vote.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Giovanni. I do not agree with stating that it needs to be a contested case. I'm in favor of due process, but not necessarily a contested case, so I wouldn't agree to that.
Okay, is there another second? If not, this amendment will die. Okay, I don't see any second to the amendment, so now we revert to the original motion without the public hearing language. So we had We had a motion and a second on that. I think we'll have 2 or 3 abstentions. But I'm going to ask the executive officer, unless you guys really have to say something. Commissioner Uwu? Nope. Okay, so then, Mr. Rodenker, will you please conduct the roll call vote on the original amendment? And Mr. Dubio has a comment.
I'll wait till Mr. Arndaker has spoken.
Okay, Mr. Rodenker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The motion was as stated by the chair. Commissioner Uu.
Aye.
Commissioner Carr Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Miyasato.
Abstain.
Commissioner Hayashida.
Abstain.
Commissioner Kahele. Commissioner Kamakeo Hello.
Abstain.
Commissioner Giovanni.
Abstain.
Commissioner Yamane.
Abstain.
Chair Lee.
Well, it's moot, so I will not vote on this. All right. Okay, thank you, everybody. We're going to move now to, let's see, the time is 11 o'clock. I think we're due for a break. So,
So Chair, what does that mean? It means that neither you or Mr. Orndaker will testify?
we will not be testifying, but if Mr. Ordenker is asked to attend and he has to make comments about it, that would be fine.
Thank you.
All right. So 10
He
minutes.
would, but excuse me,
Yes,
can I-
Vice Chair Carr Smith.
I assume that based on this meeting, he's taking into consideration the comments of the commissioners, not just the abstentions, but the comments in general, if he were to.
Yeah, that's a good point. And
If I can
yes,
answer that.
Mr. Ordenker.
Given the, this discussion, we will not take a position on this matter. I will attend the hearing in case there are questions with regard to technical issues, and the legal issues associated with the town case. Otherwise, I will be taking no position.
Yeah, and I guess you know, if the legislators ask him, I guess he is able now to provide a little bit more color to the situation.
Yes, if the legislators ask me how the commission feels about this, I can tell them that we don't currently have a position after discussing it at hearing.
Okay, Mr. Dubio.
I have no other comment. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that we did the motion right, got this part right, and the abstentions made it so that we didn't actually have a vote.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay, we're going to take a 10-minute break. We'll be back at 11:13. Okay, it's 11:13. We're back in session. We're going to resume with item number 4C on SB 1157 relating to the Land Use Commission. This bill would allow the counties to amend district boundaries involving land areas greater than 15 acres without appearing before the LUC if the affected lands are included in the county general plan or county development plan. This requests the LUC to update also the digital state land use district maps and to encourage transit-oriented development that preserves the character of the state's rural areas. I will now recognize the written public testimony submitted on this matter. Is there any written testimony, Ms. Kwan?
No, Mr. Chair.
Are there any members of the public that wish to provide verbal testimony?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature.
Okay, I'm going to ask Mr. Ordenker to make some comments.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, given the time constraints that we're under, this bill is essentially or similar in nature to the bills that we just discussed. It's slightly different, so it was given a second or separate item, but I think the concerns are exactly the same.
Okay, thank you for that concise response. Any discussion from members? Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion? I'm sorry, I'm supposed to take public testimony again. Is there now any additional new or any testimony or comments on this matter?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature.
Thank you. Any requests to testify?
No, Chair.
Again, no. So is there a motion now, one way or the other, on item 4C? Okay, is there any Motion now on item 4C. Last call. Hearing none, we're going to move on. Take no position. All right. We're going to go to the next item, 4D, SB2537 and HB2103 relating to the Land Use Commission. These measures would amend the composition of the Land Use Commission to require at least one member who has substantial experience and expertise in water resource management, and requires the Office of Hawaiian Affairs to submit a list of nominees to the governor for the appointment of a commission member having substantial experience or expertise in traditional Hawaiian land use and knowledge of cultural land practices. Fortunately, we have one already, but this would make it a requirement. So,
Mr.
yes,
Chair,
Order.
first of all, I'd like to point out that we already have that requirement, that it is required that we have a cultural expert on the Land Use Commission. This just changes the way in which that commissioner would be selected. It would have no impact on Commissioner Kamakeo Hello. Generally, staff defers to legislators on matters such as this.
Okay, before you say that, so if this bill passes, wouldn't OHA be required to submit a new name? Or
No,
asked to submit a new name?
Not necessarily,
Okay,
not
but they
necessarily.
would have the option, right?
Well, no, I mean, I think the way that this is worded, it would be on the next go around if they could either resubmit Commissioner Kamakeo Hello's name or submit three others. But
Thanks for the clarification.
but anyway, this is something we usually defer to the legislature on. Generally, as we've already discussed this, the staff has been supportive of increasing commissioners' expertise on any matter, not just water or cultural resources. I think staff's position is that knowledge of its commissioners is important in certain specific areas. We actually took the position several years ago that it should be required that there be an engineer on the commission, because it's important that we have somebody who understands.
We got that
those
covered
issues.
too.
Yeah, we do. So we're in good shape. But we don't have any concerns with this. I would point out that OHA was the one who requested this bill. So it is an OHA measure.
Thank you. Yes, it is a OHA package, and additional expertise is always sought. Maybe you should be open up to a banking expert or a developer expert, but your point is well taken. Ms. Kwan, is there any written or verbal testimony on this matter?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature, Chair.
Thank you. All right. Let's see. Is there a motion now to support or not support agenda item 4D? Commissioner Miyasato.
Yeah, Chair, I just have a couple comments on this.
Yes, please
That's
proceed.
fine. Okay, yeah, I guess for myself, I don't feel a board, another state board should be dictating who comes on another board, or I think it's the governor's privilege to be able to appoint people in certain positions to follow what he promised he'd be trying to achieve. Yeah, for another board to shove something down another board's throat, I don't think that's right. And for me, it takes away for the very reason of having boards and commissions. If you can start putting people in there intentionally, boards and commissions, by what our state's intent, are designed to give citizens a voice in their government and provide a means of influencing decisions that shape the quality of life for residents of our state. It's meant to have a cross-section of Hawaii's residents to offer vital input. Yeah. Other than that, OHA can come testify. Any water expert can come testify, and we will duly note their testimony. So that's where I stand on this.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Miyasato. Any other comments? Commissioner and Vice Chair Carr Smith.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with Miles on this one. I don't think it's necessary. We have the cultural specialists already required, and I think that's important. The water specialist, I don't think is important, because of the fact that they can come and provide testimony. We have a process through OPSD and CWORM, and I just don't think it's necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Quick comments. Okay, hearing none, we're going to open a second round of public testimony for any new or additional testimony. Ms. Kwan, is there any written or verbal testimony?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature, Chair.
Okay, thank you. So anyone at this point, commissioners, if you want to make a motion on item 4D? Anyone want to make a motion on item 4D? Commissioner Carr-Smith.
I guess I could put this out there for consideration. I would move to instruct and authorize the chair to work with the executive officer on this bill to not support it, basically, and to give the reasons why as stated in our discussion.
Okay, is there a second?
I have a small concern that the executive officer already stated that he does support this. So if the commission is going to instruct him to say that he doesn't support it, I don't know whether he has the ability to do that or what that looks like. So just a comment there.
Yeah, and if there is no vote, then wouldn't it be that we would take no position, Mr. Dubiel?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there a second to Vice Chair Carr's this motion? Is there a second to Vice
Chair,
Chair?
can I clarify? Chair,
Yes,
sorry.
Mr. Miyasato.
Just wanted to clarify what you just mentioned to Mr. Dubio. Can you repeat that?
No position if there's no vote.
Are you asking me? Sorry. If you guys don't if there's no vote, no motion, or too many abstentions, you take no position, and it's like we never talked. We talked about it, but nothing happened.
And that we would not be representing that the commission or the staff is in support of this or in opposition.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so once again, is there a second to this motion? Mr. Miyasato, I see your fingers twitching. Is that a second?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, anyone else wants to make a second to this motion? Okay, I don't see a second. Last call. Okay. All right, we're going to move on then. We will take no position on this item. Okay, we're moving on to item number 4E, SB 2986 relating to the Land Use Commission. This bill would authorize the LUC to amend, revise, or modify a decision and order granting a DBA or fine a petitioner upon finding that a petitioner or its successors or assigns have not adhered to the conditions imposed by the commission, regardless of whether there has been substantial commencement of use of the land, and it defines substantial commencement. And so this is a Supreme Court case issue, and I'm going to, before I have Mr. Ordenker comment, I'm going to see if there's any written or verbal testimony, Ms. Kwan.
Seeing none in the Q&A feature, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ordenker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I first want to clarify that the staff and anybody, as far as I know, on the Land Use Commission had anything to do with this bill. But I have talked to the legislators involved with it, and this is designed to fix the problem that arose out of Bridge Inalea. And in Bridge Inalea, the Supreme Court held that the Land Use Commission has no powers of enforcement once there has been substantial commencement. Absent, I mean, the only power we have is reversion, but they said we couldn't revert the property after there's been substantial commencement unless we went through another DBA process. The difficulty, what happened in Bridge Inalea was that the commission was trying to work out a solution, which was why we got the developer was able to get to substantial commencement. And then when they didn't do what the commission wanted, the commission then went to revert. This bill would allow projects to continue, and this is the way the legislature looked at it, projects to continue moving, and even though they might be in violation of a condition, and give the land use commission the ability to come up with some sort of solutions or in lieu of reversion, including fining them until they resolve the problem. I mean, all I can speak to is what the intent of the bill was. Staff has 10 years ago, we supported a similar measure, but we have not dipped our toes into this issue since.
Thank you, Mr. Ordenker. Commissioners, do you have any discussion or questions on this bill? Okay, hearing none. Is there a second round of any new or additional testimony, Ms. Kwan, for verbal or written?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Kwan. Okay, so is there a motion now on any position for item 4E? Commissioners, does anyone want to make a motion on this item? Okay, this would allow some recourse for example, in the Bridge Analea situation. Last call, is there any motion on item 4E? Any motion on item 4E? If not, then we're going to move on to the next item.
Mr. Chair, I just want to make sure I understand what the direction is. So with regard to this measure, we will not submit any testimony in opposition or support. However, we will be available for comments. Is that the way I understand we're proceeding? Okay.
That is correct, Mr. Ordenker. Commissioners, do you concur? If not, okay,
Chair.
I mean, if so, then we're going to move on.
Chair?
Oh, I'm sorry. Vice Chair Carr-Smith.
Sorry. I personally think that comments, as was just stated, should be limited to administrative matters or procedure, but not policy.
Thank you for that comment. I think we're all going to be watching the hearings, which are archived on YouTube. And so I will be working with Mr. Ordenker, and I think we'll try and make the best of the situation. But yes, thank you for your comments and clarification. All right, we're going to move on to item 4F, SB740 and HB777 relating to special permits. These bills authorize the Land Use Commission to designate another agency, including the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development, the Department of Agriculture, or the Agribusiness Development Corporation to monitor compliance with any restrictions imposed in a special permit. Ms. Kwan, is there any written or verbal testimony on this matter?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature, Chair.
All right, now open up the floor. Oh, first I'm going to ask Mr. Ordenker to make a comment on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Once again, this was a spontaneous bill from the legislature. The way staff views this bill is that it is a work reduction bill for the Land Use Commission and a streamlining of a process. Right now, if there's a violation of a special permit condition, then either the county has to take action or the petitioner needs, or a member of the community comes to the Land Use Commission, we hold a hearing, and then after that, something may happen. But it is the current process is convoluted. This would allow us to grant an enforcement on SPs to an appropriate agency, one that actually has skin in the game, so to speak, such as ADC, to ensure that there is enforcement so that they don't have to come back to the LUC with a complaint and so forth and so on. So, I mean, it's a good idea. Whether or not we support it is up to the commission.
Okay, thank you. I want to note that these bills have not been heard yet, but we're going to open this to the public, to the commissioners for comment and discussion. Anyone want to offload work to other people?
Chair, just an update, Chair. You know, those two bills actually are carryover bills from last year. And are those bills scheduled to be heard?
No, they haven't been scheduled, but they're technically still alive and
Yeah,
could be revived at
okay,
any
all
time,
right,
as
so-
you well know.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you. All right then. Is there, I'm pretty sure the other agencies may not be so happy to take on the other work, but we're responding for our organization at this point. So is there, Vice Chair Carr Smith?
Thank you. Yeah, just a quick comment. I know I went through the testimony on this and I saw that OPSD, of course, commented that they didn't have the capability without adding to their budget and their personnel, but I did see that Department of Agriculture was in support of it for them being the entity to support the agricultural special permit, so.
Thank you, Commissioner Carr Smith. That's very helpful. Yeah, okay, so we just wanted to clarify that the testimony that was referred to by Vice Chair Carr Smith was at the legislature last year. Is that correct? Right. Yeah, okay, so we're just clarifying that that was testimony at the legislature that Vice Chair Carr Smith was referring to in the past. All right. Yep. Okay, well now, is there any other commission discussion or questions on this bill? Okay, we'll now open it for a second round of public or testimony for written or verbal. If any, Ms. Kwan, did anyone register to testify?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature, Chair.
Okay, so now we're gonna entertain any motions in support or opposition to this bill. I'm sorry, to this agenda item, these two bills. Commissioners, second call. Any motions on item 4F? Okay, last call. All right, hearing none, we're going to move on to the next item. 4G, SB 1099 relating to important agricultural lands. This measure authorizes the LUC to designate county or state lands as important agricultural lands and adopt maps for the designated lands in counties that fail to identify and recommend important agricultural lands by December 31st, 2027. Okay, I will now recognize any written or verbal testimony. Ms. Kwan, is there any?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature, Chair.
All right, so now I'm going to ask Mr. Ordenker to give a very brief comment on this.
Okay, I think that it's important to remember with regard to important agricultural lands that we're still waiting for the Supreme Court to render a decision on the IAL submittal by the counties several years ago. So generally, I don't think it's a good idea to mess around with IAL while that is still pending. This measure is, I mean, it's not reasonable. I mean, there's no way that the counties can do an IAL designation by 12/31/2027, which means this bill essentially gives the Land Use Commission the power to identify IAL lands, which we don't have the capacity to do. So my testimony, if I were to testify on this, would be simply that we don't have the capacity to do this. So
okay, so this is the less work for LUC bills. Opening this floor now for commissioners to discuss or have any questions on this bill. Any commissioners have any comments, discussion, questions? You'll have another opportunity if there is a motion. All right, we'll now open a second round of public testimony for verbal or written. Ms. Kwan, is there anyone signed up to testify?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature.
Okay, so now, thank you, Ms. Kwan. We're going to entertain any motion for the LUC to designate IAL lands. Anybody wants to make a motion on item 4G? I mean, it could be that we don't want to do it. That could be a motion, or just take no position. All right. Anybody else have any thoughts of making a motion on this? I'm seeing none. So we're going to move on to the next item. We're going to take no position on that bill. And as Mr. Ordenker said, he will just be there for technical comments. And so we're on Agenda item 4H, SB 1332 and HB 1013. Relating to important agricultural lands. These bills repeal the provision authorizing farm dwellings and farm employee housing on important ag lands, amends the provisions for priority permit processing to include farm cluster housing, and adopts a new provision establishing farm cluster housing to incentivize the designation of lands as important agricultural lands pursuant to Chapter 205 HRS. All right, I'm gonna now ask if there's any written public testimony, verbal as well, Ms. Kwan?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature.
Okay, now I'm gonna have Mr. Rodenker make some quick comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This measure has the same problems as the one before, but even more so. This measure attempts to change the key provision that is the subject of the Supreme Court case that is currently pending. We don't recommend this measure move forward. However, the legislature in its infinite wisdom can make an attempt to fix the problem if they want.
All right, that's very brief. So commissioners, I'm gonna open the floor now for any discussion or questions on this bill. Is there any questions or discussion on this bill? Okay, seeing none. Oh, I'm sorry, Vice Chair Carr-Smith.
Thank you. I noticed that this is in the governor's package. And I know that the executive officer had mentioned before about being asked by the governor to not testify against things. But for this bill, for example, would he have asked you to testify in favor of it?
I believe this is a holdover bill, and it was submitted last year, and last year we took no position, and we did not testify, I believe.
So going forward, how would we address this issue?
My suggestion is that if the bill does get scheduled for hearing, which I don't know if it will or not, that we leave it to OPSD to handle this matter because it was an OPSD measure.
Commissioner Carr-Smith, does that answer your question, or do you have any further?
Not
questions
really.
on
I
that?
was trying to get a sense of if the governor calls and asks you to support his bill as he puts forth through somebody else, how do you handle that?
If the governor calls and requests that we submit testimony in support, we will of course do that. In all my time at the Land Use Commission, that has never occurred. But if the governor did do that, of course, we would support the bill.
Okay, because I've heard you say several times over the months or years that the governor does call and ask for testimony. So you're saying now that he only asks
I don't think I've
for-
ever said that the governor calls and asks for testimony. I think that what I've been telling you is that we're instructed at various times on how we are to handle testimony at the legislature.
Okay, same thing.
Not necessarily with regard to whether we support a measure or not. We have actually had discussions with OPSD in the past with regard to bills that we disagree on. And if we cannot reach agreement, then the director will simply instruct the one of us who is not in line with governor's policy to not testify.
Got it. Thank you.
This is a very valuable discussion, which I don't know how agencies end up testifying against each other, even on the governor's packages, but it does happen. So, I'm going to try and work with Mr. Ordenker in case that situation comes up, and we won't do anything, out of turn. But if it comes up, we'll try and figure something out to the best of our ability and into the satisfaction of the rest of the members. Okay, I think I asked the final, is there any motion on this? And I don't see anything. And so we're gonna move on. This was just discussion. So I have to ask again for any Second round of public testimony. So Ms. Kwan, is there any written or verbal request to testify?
Seeing none using the Q&A feature, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion now then on agenda item 4H from the commissioners? Okay, any motion from the commissioners on agenda item 4H on important agricultural lands? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to the next item. We're going to take no position on that except for technical comments and information. All right, agenda item number 5, discussion on the commission's position on 2026 Hawaii State legislative bills relating to land use. This is a discussion and or decision-making on the position of bills that maybe not directly, but I'll just move on and say, we're going to take up item 5A and let you make your decisions. SB 1079, item 5A, and HB 502 relating to land use. These measures temporarily allow each county by resolution of its county council to petition for the redistricting of land from an agricultural district to a rural district through the Land Use Commission's declaratory ruling process, effective July 1st, 2026, sunsets June 30th, 2029. And I'm going to let Mr. Dordenker make some very brief comments before we do public testimony.
I'm going to make some little bit more than brief comments because it's going to cover the 3 items A, B, and C because they're similar items. The genesis of these measures was some time ago, going back to when Will Spence was the planning commissioner on Maui. And it was an attempt to resolve the problems that the counties have with regard to places like Paradise Park and other areas where you have agricultural subdivisions that are, for all intents and purposes, rural, but are still designated as ag. And once again, we were not involved in the submission of these bills. This is to resolve a county problem. The difficulty that the counties may have with this is twofold. Number one is, it may not meet due process requirements, and the declaratory ruling process is probably the wrong process. But the other problem is the one that the counties eventually come to realize every time these bills have wound their way through the legislature, and that is that at some point they realize that if they convert these agricultural lands to rural, they're going to be required to put in infrastructure, such as, fire hydrants and things like that. And so in the end, they balk. But my suggestion is that we stay out of these measures because since they don't really relate to us, that they're county measures, and that we allow them to proceed and just be available for questions.
Thank you. Good comments. We're going to now recognize any written public testimony or verbal. So Ms. Kwan, is there any requests for that?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Kwan. Now we're going to open discussion for the commissioners on this item. Commissioners, are there any comments on this item? Okay, seeing none, we're going to take a second round of public testimony if there are any. Ms. Kwan?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature, Chair.
Okay, with no written or verbal request to testify, is there a motion now on agenda item 5A? Any motion now on agenda item 5A? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on. We're going to take no position on that except for technical comments as mentioned before. Item 5B is the next item, HB 2424 relating to land use from July 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2028. This bill would authorize each county planning commission to petition the Land Use Commission for a district boundary amendment to reclassify certain lands within the agricultural district to the rural district through the declaratory ruling process. Mr. Ordenker, you said this was related, so.
Yeah, my comments are the same on this measure as the prior one.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there, Ms. Kwan, is there any written or verbal request to testify?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to open the floor for commissioners for discussion and questions on this bill. Are there any comments or questions on item 5A? Okay, I don't see, oh, Commissioner Carr Smith.
Thank you, Chair. We're on 5B, right?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to ask staff, is the difference between A and B the effective date and the sunset date, basically?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or discussion on item 5B? Okay, seeing none. Ms. Kwan, there's now a second round of public testimony available. Is there anyone requesting written or verbal testimony?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right. Commissioners, is there any motion on item 5B relating to land use and the LUC reclassifying IAL lands through the DR process? Any motion on item 5B? Okay, seeing none, we're going to take no position except for the technical comments. We're going to now move on to item 5C, SB2015 relating to land use. These measures temporarily allow each county by resolution of its county council to petition for the redistricting of land from an agriculture district to a road district to the LUC DR process. Effective 7/1/2027, sunset 6/30/2030. Mr. Odenker, how does this differ?
It's just the effective dates.
Okay, thank you. Is there any public written testimony or verbal testimony requested on this matter, Ms. Kwan?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any discussion from commissioners or questions on this bill? Okay, seeing none. Is there any second round of testimony from the public, written or verbally by request?
No one in the Q&A feature, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Kwan. Commissioners, is there now any motion on agenda item 5C? Any motion on agenda item 5C? I don't see anything, so we're going to move on and take no position except for technical comments from the executive director on these matters. All right, item 5D, SB1334 and HB1013. This measure relating to land use would authorize county petition process for review and approval of land use district boundary amendments based on adopted county general plans or county development plans. Sounds very similar to a previous one. Mr. Odenker.
Yes, this is the same as item 4B. I won't repeat everything that was said prior, but I think the commission's already taken a position on this.
Okay, which was, refresh my memory on that again.
4B was no position.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Kwan, is there any written testimony or request for verbal testimony on this matter from the public?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature.
Thank you, Ms. Kwan. I'll now open the floor for commissioners to discuss and ask questions on item 5D. Is there any discussion on questions on this? Okay, seeing none. Ms. Kwan, is there I'm sorry, Vice Chair Carr Smith, please go ahead.
No problem. Just a comment. I still just want to put on the record that I support this idea, but I also support the concept of waiting and seeing how things turn out as it goes through the hearing process.
Oh, thanks for the comment. And yes, we may have another opportunity if things start to be clarified a little bit more. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, we're going to move on to agenda item 5E, SB516 relating to land use. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Dubio. Ms. Kwan, I need to ask you if there is a second round of public testimony for new or additional comments only. Is there anyone making any requests of that sort?
Nobody has used the Q&A feature, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, and I guess I got to make the motion again or ask if there is a motion on this item. Is there any motion on item 5D from commissioners? Okay, seeing none, we'll take no position and offer technical comments only. Okay, next item is agenda item 5E, SB516. This bill relating to land use would permit film production on lands that are zoned for agricultural use in counties with a population of less than 500,000, which is Oahu. And, so I'm sorry. So this would be everything except Oahu. Thank you, Mr. DeVille. And that meet other conditions, establishes the Agricultural Film Production Land Use Oversight Committee to monitor and enforce compliance with regulations on film permit activities on agricultural zone lands. Mr. Odenker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We don't have staff doesn't have a problem with this bill, and I don't think as commissioners, there's much of an issue. There has been a slowdown of film production in part because the counties are unsure how to handle requests to utilize agricultural land for film production. We do have some significant concerns on both this measure and the next agenda item in that if they were to move forward, I think that some protections need to be put in place for sensitive environmental areas and cultural resources. And you know, how that occurs can be done in conjunction with discussions at the legislature. But this particular bill, I have talked with some of the members proposed on this oversight committee, and it's just too much for everybody to handle. And just as a philosophical matter, I've discussed this with several representatives from the film industry, and really it would be better if there was something called similar to an SP minor that could be utilized for this rather than this process. But that being said, that's not what's in front of us. But I would suggest taking no position on these measures, both of these measures at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Odenker. You know, I would like to also add that on the surface, this looks like it would be a good thing to help the film industry, but the folks I've talked to have said this will only add additional bureaucracy. So just wanted to note that. Don't let that prejudice you. Ms. Kwan, are there any members of the public that wish to provide oral testimony or have provided written testimony on this matter?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature, Chair.
Okay, members, thank you, Ms. Kwan. Members, is there any discussion or questions on this item 5E? Vice Chair Carr-Smith.
I will say again that I support this concept. I don't know what bureaucracy you're talking about or why the executive officer said we should stay away from these. But I think that parts of some of the islands would really benefit from the economic driver of filming in certain agricultural areas. So I support it.
Okay, thank you for your comments, Vice Chair Carr-Smith. Commissioner U'u.
I would like to add that too, that I'll probably support it too if it's an output. As the increase of costs of land management due to the wildfires, and I think people need more options to offset some type of costs, and this could give some people who want to try to offset that cost by utilizing something like this. So that's what I'm gonna.
Thank you. And again, this applies only to the neighbor islands. Mr. Odenker.
Yeah, I just want to clarify Commissioner Carr-Smith's comments. I think I did say that we support this concept. The reason that I'm suggesting that we do not testify on it is that the technical issues associated with both of these bills are not within the Land Use Commission's purview. They're associated with Department of Business and Economic Development and the Agricultural Development Corporation and the film branch. That's the reason that I'm suggesting that we not testify, because I think they have more expertise in this area than we do.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this agenda item? Okay, seeing none, Ms. Kwan, is there any additional testimony, written or verbal, on this agenda item?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Kwan. Members, is there anyone that wants to make a motion on agenda item 5E, SB516? Anyone want to make a motion on agenda item 5E? Last call. Okay, if not, we're going to move to the next agenda item, 5F for SB 2156 relating to land use. This bill would permit film production on certain lands zoned for agricultural use under certain conditions, including obtaining land use special permits, establishes the Agricultural Film Production Land Use Oversight Committee within the Creative Industries Division of DBEDT to establish film permit application requirements and processes, facilitate the issuance of special permits for film production on agricultural zone parcels, and advise and make recommendations relating to the regulation of film productions on agricultural zone lands. Mr. Rodenker.
Position is the same and comments are the same with regard to this measure as the prior one.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Kwan, is there anyone that has written testimony or signed up to give verbal testimony?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Kwan. Board members, we're now open for discussion and questions on this bill.
Ditto, Commissioner Wu, did on my part whatever I said earlier to the last one. So just want to be consistent on my part.
Thank you, Commissioner Wu. Appreciate it. Any other discussion on this agenda item? Okay, seeing none, Ms. Kwan, is there anybody who wants to do a second round of public testimony, either written or verbal?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kwan. Now we're gonna ask if there is anyone who wishes to make a motion on this agenda item 5F, as in Frank, on SB 2156. Commissioners, is there any motion now on this agenda item? Last call on this agenda item. Seeing none, we're going to take no position and just technical comments. Next item is, okay, this is going to be our last one before lunch. Agenda item 5G, SB 2240, SB 3006, and HB 1848 relating to land use. These measures require any petitioner for a DBA to obtain, well, maybe we should save this one. Okay, let's go. All right. For a DBA to obtain certification from the Commission on Water Resources Management that enough water is available for the project's needs without causing harm to the relevant aquifers, and provide that certification to the LUC. Mr. Orodenker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's going to take me a couple of minutes to go through this, unfortunately. I want to talk about the genesis of this measure. Basically, what happened with this was that Representatives Yamashita and Chair Hashem called me in sometime last summer and expressed consternation over the failed Pule-Lehua project because the county had denied them permits because they didn't have any water. They expressed to me that they wanted to make sure that this didn't happen again, and I told them that was the legislature's prerogative. I explained to them what had already occurred at that time, what had already occurred at the Land Use Commission, and they decided to go ahead with the measure anyway on their own. And despite the misrepresentations made by Mr. Arakawa at the hearing, those of you who watched it, we did not have anything to do with pushing this measure forward. We were asked by both by Representatives Yamashita and Hashem back in September, October to express our support of this measure, which we did so, and all we said was that we supported it. Mr. Derrickson was at the hearing, and I think that neither one of us was prepared for the questions that we got because we assumed that this was a measure that was being moved forward by Chair Hashem. We actually don't believe that this measure is personally don't believe that this measure is necessary given the changes at the Land Use Commission and the discussions that we have had with the Commission on Water Resource Management. Our testimony at the time was made as a request of the chair and the representative. But my position remains that this is a policy call on the part of legislature, and that the only thing that we really should be testifying on is whether or not the measure itself poses any technical difficulties.
Thank you, Mr. Odenker. I wanted to note that this board has already addressed this twice and rejected it unanimously, whether it be rules or by other means. And CWORM already has the ability to provide testimony. They're given that option. Maybe this bill should be targeted at CWORM, that they need to provide and respond to our open requests for comment rather than directed at us. And then I want to also add that at the hearing on one of these bills, and I think the testimony even from OPSD and CWORM and DLNR is that instead of it being a certification, that a statement be provided. So maybe that addresses some of the issues, but I just want to bring that out there. And next, I'm going to ask Ms. Kwan, is there any written public testimony before we discuss? Any written or oral testimony?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kwan. All right, commissioners, any discussion or questions about this matter, about CWORM certification before coming to the Land Use Commission? Any discussion? Okay, I'm going to go with Commissioner Miyasato first, followed by Vice Chair Carr Smith.
Yeah, Chair. I appreciate hearing executive officer's comments. Yeah, because we did go over this several times. I guess correct me if I'm wrong. Is CWORM's sustainable yield an exact science or a speculative assumption?
Mr. Ordenker, would you like to answer that question?
I'm not sure if I can answer that question definitively. Commission on Water Resource Management's methodology is always the subject of discussion. The problem that CWORM has is that it is required to set sustainable yields for all of the aquifers in the state. So they have to use some methodology. They chose whatever methodology they're currently using to do that. And we're kind of stuck with that. I mean, we're not the experts. They have chosen the methodology that they've chosen, whether that is in fact accurate. I mean, I've been on both sides of this. When I was running Molokai Ranch, we questioned Commission on Water Resource Management's assertions with regard to how much could be pumped out of well 17, and had experts to refute them. But with regard to sustainable yield, they are the arbiters. They have to set a sustainable yield. And that's the problem that we have.
Okay. Yeah, I just, for a certification, I just have a problem with that because from what I see, their sustainable yield or method is one-dimensional, right? Two barriers, basically. Saltwater, freshwater barrier, and basalt rock, and what's contained in between on a profile. When they pump water, GPMs test the salinity. Once the salinity increases, theoretically, that's just your GPM, sustainable yield, kind of in a nutshell. If you had a three-dimensional, a satellite with X-ray vision, and you could show me that aquifer three-dimensional, I would say you can certify your water availability. But even the Ota well, they can't even schedule the meeting because they need more research. They cannot determine if a new well will impact sustainable yield in another well nearby, if the aquifer is even connected. So yeah, I just have a problem. with this bill being that the methodology is one-dimensional and in my mind, kind of theoretical. You could drill a well 50 feet away, hit a pond, and have all the water you want. I mean, I've seen it in the mainland. They have agricultural subdivisions, 10 acres in Madera, California, about a half hour north of Fresno. 10-acre lots. Every lot is only provided with electricity. You do your own leach field, drill your own well on every single lot. I have a friend with a lot right in the middle. His neighbor built up on the hill, beautiful view. Other neighbor, same thing, up on the ridge. They're hauling water during drought seasons. He has water. He's down, if you look at the lay of the land, he's down in a little bit of a sump, depression. And so obviously the surface water gets caught and permeates a lot more in his area. And he probably got lucky, and where he drilled, there's probably a bigger depression underground. So, you know, that neighbor is probably 200 yards away. The other neighbor maybe 400, 500 yards away. And it varies. That in 3 lots, it varies, your yield, sustainable yield. So, you know, I just have a problem with them certifying before us and condemning something. That's all I have, Chair.
Yeah, I would comment on that and agree with you. I think that's one of the reasons that we hold contested case hearings, is so that the petitioner has the opportunity to rebut positions taken by state agencies. And it's up to this commission to decide who they want to believe. I will repeat, though, that this bill was put together by a couple of representatives who were trying to attack a problem, and this is what they came up with.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Carr-Smith.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sure the intention was there, but I too don't think that CWRM is the proper agency to certify whether there's water or not. I think that the counties control their water sources and provide water to their customers. I understand CWRM's role in it and with well permits and all that, but this just doesn't seem appropriate to me.
Thank you, Vice Chair Carr-Smith. So I just wanted to briefly add that, you know, for something as important as housing for local families, I mean, we've addressed this before. I don't think that, you know, listening to what Commissioner Miyasato said, that LUC should just default and defer to a veto power from CWRM without questioning or examination. I mean, you know, that Mr. Ordenker pointed out, that's why we want contested case hearings. So I don't think preemptive veto power is what will help local families in this situation. But that's just my comment. They're already allowed to make statements. They're asked to make statements, in fact. So maybe if the representatives want to help, they can make this a requirement of CWRM to make statements on every project. So that's just my thought. Is there any other discussion or questions from commissioners on this agenda item? Okay, seeing none. Ms. Kwan, is there any second round of public testimony, either written or verbal?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature.
Thank you, Ms. Kwan. Members, is there a motion to support or oppose or anything else on agenda item 5G regarding CWRM certification before coming to the Land Use Commission? Vice Chair Carr-Smith.
Okay. Yeah, I would make a motion to instruct and authorize the chair to work with the executive officer on testifying against this bill, these bills.
Okay, so to oppose the bills that have the similar concepts to item 5G, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, the motion's been made by Vice Chair Carr-Smith. Is there a second to her motion to oppose bills that fall under agenda item 5G. Is there a second to Ms. Carr's motion?
I'll second, Commissioner Carr's, motion.
Okay, Commissioner Uu seconded the motion to oppose those types of bills. Any discussion? So I'm going to ask Vice Chair Carr Smith to make a brief comment in support, if she wants to, of the motion.
No, I
oppose.
think I already stated. I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Miyasato.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I believe this bill came up for hearing and Chair Hashem tabled it, so I'll probably be abstaining and waiting to see if the companion bills grow legs. Thank you.
Okay, yep, there are two other bills, and yeah, those may evolve. You may support them later on, who knows, or oppose them even more. All right, anybody else with any comments or questions on agenda item 5G? Okay, hearing none, the motion has been made and seconded to oppose. Mr. Ordenker, will you conduct the roll call vote before we have lunch?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The motion is to oppose the measure. Commissioner Carr Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Uu,
Aye.
Commissioner Miyasato,
Abstain.
abstain. Commissioner Hayashida is absent. Commissioner Kahele,
I abstain.
Commissioner Kamakeo, hello.
I abstain.
Commissioner Giovanni,
Abstain.
Commissioner Yamane,
Abstain.
Chair Lee.
The motion is moot, so I'm not going to vote on this as is proper with Robert's Rules of Procedure, but I think now we have informed the executive officer and he can give more flavor in any testimony. All right, we're going to take a break for lunch and we will reconvene at 1 p.m. in the afternoon today. Thank you very much. Okay, we're calling this meeting back to order of the State Land Use Commission, and thank you everyone for your patience. We're going to start again with agenda item 5H, SB760 relating to land use. This measure authorizes rodeos on lands that are zoned for agricultural use. Mr. Rodenker.
Thank you. Both this item H and item I, which covers SB 760 and SB 2161 and HB 1703 with regard to rodeos, were put on the agenda for the commission's edification, so to speak. Personally, I'm in support of both of these. I'm used to, when I was running Molokai Ranch, we had a rodeo. And this is more clarification of what's allowed than anything else, because our rodeo was on agricultural land and nobody ever bothered us about it. But I don't recommend that we get involved in this. I think this is a policy call on the part of the legislature, even though it impacts Chapter 205.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rodenker. Ms. Kwan, are there any requests for verbal testimony or did anyone submit any written testimony?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Kwan. We'll now open it up for commissioners if they have any discussions, questions, or comments on this bill. Okay, any questions, comments? We have a few cowboys here, but I guess they're gonna refrain from too much comment. One last chance, agenda item 5H. Okay, hearing none, Commissioner will take no official position on this except for making comments on technical issues. All right, I have to ask again though, did I ask for testimony second time? Well, I'll just do it then. Is there any second round of testimony, Ms. Kwan?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, no written or verbal request to testify. We're gonna move to item 5I, SB2161 and HB1703 relating to land use. These measures authorize rodeos and, oh, so this is a similar one. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Executive Officer?
Same as the last one, we personally support, but have no comment as the Land Use Commission.
Thank you. Commissioner Miyasato can personally testify on his own if he wishes to on this in his individual capacity. Ms. Kwan, is there anybody from the public who has submitted written testimony or requesting verbal testimony?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, commissioners, is there any discussion or questions on this similar bill? Okay, seeing none, this is a second opportunity for the public to make written testimonies or verbal testimony. Ms. Kwan, are there any requests?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there a motion now to address agenda item 5I, SB2161 and HB1703? Is there any motion from commissioners? Okay, seeing none, we're going to take no position and offer only technical comments if asked. All right, item 5J, HB2007 and HB1738 relating to land use decision-making. These measures provide the authority for counties to amend district boundaries up to 25 acres from 15 currently for purposes only for residential housing, agricultural, workforce housing, long-term rental, or workforce fee simple ownership. Mr. Odenker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'd like to take a moment to talk about the history of this measure. We were actually approached by I was actually approached by Senator Schatz's office with regard to this bill before it was drafted and the concepts that he was trying to move forward, which we support. And I discussed my technical language with him on how to move it forward. And I continue to take this position that we support. Well, I take the position that this is something we should be supporting.
What were some of the technical amendments, if you could quickly summarize?
Well, it wasn't technical amendments, but we discussed some of the ways in which it could have been done. I didn't see the bill until after it was submitted. The only concern, and I've just had these discussions with the legislators, is that he left out the word affordable in front of residential housing, which I suggested was an error when I discussed it with them, because I don't think that was what the intent. And this was in discussion with Senator Schatz's office as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ordenker. Ms. Kwan, is there any written testimony or request for verbal testimony?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kwan. We're open for discussion for commissioners. Are there any questions, comments on this bill? Vice Chair Carr Smith.
Thank you, Chair. I'm kind of surprised that you support it. So can you explain to me why you do? Is it because of the specific affordable residential, agriculture, long-term rental? I mean, you wouldn't, I don't think you would be in favor of this if it didn't include those specific types of housing. Is that true?
Well, that was the discussion with Senator Schatz's office. I mean, they would like to move the needle on affordable housing, and I agree with them. And this is one measure that perhaps will result in that. I'm supporting it because it's an attempt to do something. I'm not sure it's going to have that much of an impact, but I don't think I have any disagreement with the commission that we need to find ways to move affordable housing forward.
Commissioner Carr Smith, does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. I agree with you and I support that. Thank you.
Mr. Ordenker, does this bill, as it's currently drafted, affect important agricultural lands?
It doesn't differentiate with regard to any type of agricultural lands, important agricultural lands or not. It doesn't. I'm not sure, I mean, the devil's in the details on bills like this. I'm not sure if it passes, what kind of measures the counties would have to put in place to ensure compliance with the Constitution. But that is something that they will have to do.
Thank you. Any further discussion from commissioners? Okay, seeing none, Ms. Kwan, is there any requests for verbal testimony or did anyone submit written testimony the second time?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature.
Thank you, Ms. Kwan. So commissioners, is there a motion that you would like us to entertain on agenda item 5J? Anyone wishing to make any motion on this? Vice Chair Carr-Smith.
Thank you, Chair. I would move that we instruct and authorize the chair to work with the executive officer to support SB 2007 and HB 1738.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Carr-Smith. Is there a second to her motion?
I'll second. Commissioner Uu.
Commissioner Wu seconds the motion. Now we're open for discussion, and Ms. Carr-Smith, would you like to say any words?
Nothing more. Thank you.
Mr. Uu.
No comment. I support it.
Okay, thank you, commissioners. All right, Mr. Ordenker, will you conduct the roll call vote?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The motion
Chair.
is to support.
Oh, sorry, Commissioner Miyasato.
Yeah, sorry. Real quick. I thought I saw a version of this that did mention majority had to be affordable within the 140 percentile. Isn't there a version that references that?
Okay, so are you wanting to amend the
Oh, no, I was just curious
motion?
if anyone knew offhand if there was that version. I'm pretty sure I read a version that had that affordable component requirement as a condition to be a majority, whatever majority is interpreted as, but within that 140 percentile of affordable housing. But if not, I would rather support that bill. But
Okay, yeah, I think you make a good point. I think currently, according to Mr. Derrickson, these two bills don't have that language. There may be other bills with the same topic. So I believe that the motion that Vice Chair Carr-Smith made and that we've agreed to is about the policy and not any specific bill. If that's something that you feel should be in there, you can offer an amendment, or you can
okay.
ask Commissioner Carr-Smith to withdraw hers and make a new motion.
No, understanding that we are proceeding with the intent, then I'm fine.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from commissioners? Okay, Mr. Odenker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The motion is to instruct the executive officer and with the chair to support these measures. Commissioner Carr-Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Wu.
Aye.
Commissioner Yamane.
Abstain.
Commissioner Giovanni. Commissioner Giovanni.
I was on mute. My apologies. I abstain.
Commissioner Kamakeo, hello.
I abstain.
Commissioner Kahele.
Abstain.
Commissioner Hayashida is absent. Commissioner Miyasato.
Aye.
Chair Lee.
Okay, the motion is moot, so I'm not going to vote on this. Thank you, everybody. All right, agenda item 5K, SB1114 and SB2162 relating to housing. These measures would authorize large landowners to petition the Land Use Commission to allow the development of elderly housing on portions of agricultural lands. Mr. Odenker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe that the intent of this measure is a laudable one. However, it seems to have a bunch of flaws. And I've read the bill several times, and I'm not sure how to fix it. I mean, there are concerns with the definitions, and on the responsibility for infrastructure and the rest. But my advice on this one would be to let it go and see if the legislature can somehow find a way to fix the fatal flaws that are contained in it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ordenker. Ms. Kwan, is there any written testimony or request for oral testimony?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Discussion. Do the commissioners have any questions, comments, or discussion on this agenda item? Okay, seeing none, we're gonna give the public a second opportunity for written or verbal testimony. Ms. Kwan, is there any request?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Let's see here. All right, so right now we'll entertain any motion from commissioners on this agenda item. Is there any motion on this agenda item? Okay, seeing none, we will take no position and offer just comments on technical issues. All right, next item is agenda item number 6, discussion on commission's position on 2026 Hawaii State legislative bills relating to other measures that may impact the Land Use Commission. Okay, 6A is HB 826 relating to housing. This would authorize a county planning commission by special permit to permit land uses exclusively providing residential housing for purposes of agricultural workforce housing, long-term rental, or workforce fee simple ownership in an agricultural district under certain conditions. And it sunsets on 6/30/2035. Mr. Odenker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There are two sides to this bill. One of the main problems is, of course, the town case and the things that were discussed in item 4D, I think it was. But also, this one theorizes the use of the special permit process, which I think is the wrong process to accomplish this measure. I think there are a lot of technical problems with it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Odenker. Ms. Kwan, has there been any written testimony or request for verbal testimony?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature.
Okay, thank you. So we're into discussion. Commissioners, is there any discussion, comments, or questions on this bill, agenda item 6A, HB 826? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Giovanni.
Thank you, Chair. Just a question. Would this bill allow housing on agricultural districts other than farm dwellings?
Mr. Odenker.
Yes, it would.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion from commissioners or questions? Okay, seeing none, Ms. Kwan, is there any additional comments or requests for verbal or written testimony?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kwan. All right, commissioners, is there a motion on this agenda item? Commissioners, any motion on HB 826? Okay, I'm seeing none. So we're gonna take no position and just be there for comment, to answer technical questions. Okay, the next item is item number 6B. SB2006 and HB1737, similar relating to farm employee housing. This bill clarifies that a farm dwelling permitted in an agricultural district includes a single-family farm dwelling and with an accessory employee housing structure, subject to certain restrictions. Mr. Odenker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With regard to these two measures and SB 2740, the next item on the agenda, we don't have any position. we believe that, once again, this is a policy call to be made by the legislature. I would add that from a theoretical standpoint, we're in support of housing on agricultural land for housing workers. But otherwise, we have no comments.
Thank you, Mr. Ordenker. Ms. Kwan, has there been any written testimony or request for verbal testimony on this matter?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kwan. Discussion. We're opening the floor for commissioners to discuss or comment or make questions on this bill. Is there anyone who would like to do so? Okay, seeing none, Ms. Kwan, is there any second request for a second round of requests for public testimony, either written or verbal?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Kwan. All right, commissioners, is there any motion on this agenda item 6B? Okay, hearing and seeing none, we're going to take no position and just offer technical comments if requested. Okay, next item is 6C, SB 2740 relating to farm employee housing. This bill authorizes farm cluster housing on certain agricultural land within agricultural districts and requires the counties to adopt ordinances to allow farm cluster housing. Mr. Ordenker.
Same comments as the prior agenda item, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Kwan, is there any written testimony or request for verbal testimony?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Kwan. Commissioners, is there any discussion, comments, or questions on this bill? Okay, seeing none, we're going to offer the public a second opportunity to either offer written or verbal testimony. Ms. Kwan, is there such testimony?
No, Chair.
Okay, thank you. So, commissioners, is there anyone who would like to make a motion on this agenda item 6C? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we're going to take no position and just be there for technical comments and information. Agenda item 6D, SB 2834 and HB 1979 relating to environmental review. This bill shortens the period within which certain judicial proceedings involving environmental assessments and environmental impact statements for actions that propose the use of land or construction of affordable housing or clean energy projects that must be initiated. Mr. Ordenker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This item was put on the agenda just so that the matter could be brought to the Commission's attention. OPSD's Office of Environmental Review. It used to be called OEQC, and I always stumble over that. But has been taking the lead on testimony on this. So, I mean, I don't suggest that we take any position on this, and my suggestion is we leave it to OPSD to handle, but we did want to bring it to the Commission's attention.
Thank you, Mr. Ordenker. Ms. Kwan, is there any written testimony or request for verbal testimony on this matter?
No, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, is there any discussion, questions, or comments on this agenda item? Okay, hearing and seeing none. Ms. Kwan, we're going to give the public a second chance for public testimony. Is there any written or request for verbal testimony?
No, Chair.
All right, thank you very much. Commissioners, is there anyone who wishes to make a motion on this agenda item 6D? Hearing and seeing none, we're going to do the same thing and take no position and just offer comments, technical and informational. All right, next agenda item 6E, HB 541 relating to urban development. This bill makes certain urban development and land use requirements applicable only to counties with a population of less than 500,000. So neighbor islands, including vesting the director of the county land use agency with the administrative authority to act on any application for subdivision, consolidation, or re-subdivision. The required adoption or amendment of an ordinance to allow at least 2 accessory dwelling units subject to certain conditions on all residentially zoned lots, the calculation of certain school impact fees, and a prohibition on private covenants that includes certain limitations or restrictions for residentially zoned lots within an urban district. Mr. Ordenker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Once again, this measure was put on the agenda for the commission's information. This doesn't affect us in any way, but we wanted to know that this was, the commission to know that this was out there. We will continue to monitor it to see if there are any statewide impacts. We do have a little bit of a concern or question about limiting it to essentially what the neighbor islands, and we're not sure why that occurred. But my suggestion is that we just monitor this.
Thank you, Mr. Ordenker. I believe that the reason for this is because Honolulu felt that they were being imposed on with last year's 2 ADU permission, which was ministerial. And they felt that this really was only for Maui and the neighbor islands to give them more housing, but that Oahu was a different situation, if I recall correctly. Okay, so Ms. Kwan, we're going to see if there's any written testimony or if there's any request for verbal testimony at this time.
None in the Q&A feature, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioners, is there any discussion, question, or comments on this bill? Okay, seeing none, of course, all this stuff could evolve and then we may or may not take that up again. Ms. Kwan, is there any second opportunity for public testimony, either written or that's been requested verbally?
No, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kwan. Commissioners, is there anyone who wishes to make any motion on item 6E regarding HB 541? Okay, I don't see anything. So we're going to take no position and just offer technical comments if asked. Okay, item 6F, SB 197 relating to public notices. This bill establishes enhanced public notice requirements for changes in land use by the Department of Hawaiian Homeland, Department of Land and Natural Resources, or the University of Hawaii, and to boundary changes by the Land Use Commission. This requires approval of the project by the community through a referendum of nearby adult residents, except for projects within the Mauna Kea Science Reserve, which would require a referendum by all adult residents of the county in which the Mauna Kea Science Reserve is located, and it appropriates funds. Mr. Ordenker.
Once again, this measure was put on the agenda for the commission's education. We would not, under any circumstances, be taking the lead on this, on testimony on this, and we would leave that to the AG's office. I think you can see that this would create some significant burdens on all of the agencies and departments that are mentioned. But once again, I don't suggest that we do anything but monitor that.
Ms. Kwan, is there any written testimony submitted on this matter or request for verbal testimony?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, is there any discussion, questions, or comments about this bill? Well, I guess it would significantly increase the notification requirements. Seeing no other discussion, Ms. Kwan, for the second round of testimony, is there any written or request for verbal testimony?
No, Chair.
Okay, thank you. So commissioners, is there any motion anyone wishes to make on agenda item 6F regarding public notices, public notice requirements? Okay, then we will move on, take no position on that bill and just be there for comments if requested. Item 6G, HB 1529, relating to boards and commissions. This bill reduces the quorum requirements for boards and commissions to a majority of current voting members of a board or commission and reduces the number of affirmative votes needed to validate action of a board or commission to a majority of members voting at a meeting with quorum. Mr. Ordenker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is essentially a duplication of item A, 4A of the agenda, which we already voted on. As that is SB 28, SB 2217, and HB 1845. We attached this one because it came in late as a separate item.
Thank you, Mr. Odenker. Ms. Kwan, has there been any written public testimony or request for verbal testimony?
Seeing none in the Q&A feature.
Thank you, Ms. Kwan. Commissioners, is there any discussions, questions, or comments on this bill? Okay, seeing none, Ms. Kwan, is for this second round of public testimony, has there been any written or request for verbal testimony?
No, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioners, is there anyone who would wish to make a motion on agenda item HB 541? And agenda item 6E, HB 541. Okay, seeing none. Okay, then we will take no position, and we will offer comments only.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, I
I'm
think,
6F, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
I
sorry.
believe it's the same as 4A, so we would refer back to that guidance with regard to how to testify on this.
Yep, thank you very much. Okay, next agenda item, we're almost there. Item 6G, HB 1529. Is that, did I do that already? That's the one we just did. Okay, X6G. Cool, getting worn out here. Okay. All right, so did we take public testimony a second time? I think we did, right?
Seeing none on the Q&A feature, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, agenda item 7. All right, this concludes our meeting. I told you guys. All right, is there any further business to discuss? Okay, I want to also, before we go, congratulate Commissioner Giovanni. I think if we keep our fingers crossed, he'll be a Kauai Planning Commissioner. And I think his experience at the state level will really help and inform him to help the county of Kauai in making their decisions. So congratulations and thank you very much. All right, motion to adjourn. Second. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.